And we are live on the United Public Radio Network, UPRN 107.7 FM New Orleans and 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast. How cool is that? And we are being live streamed wherever podcasts live, including my YouTube channel. So go there and subscribe. To all my beloved above me that watch over me, to all of you, my fave parapeeps, fellow experiencers, and brothers and sisters in Christ, welcome. This is Father Shawn's Paranormal Ministry. I'm your host, Father Shawn Whittington. I'm a ordained Catholic priest, United States Old Catholic Church. I'm a fully professed brother and abbot for the Old Catholic Benedictines of Immaculate Mary. I'm a team member on Society of St. Benedict and co-founder of GhostBegone.biz. And yeah, I'm that guy on Eli Roth Presents the Legion of Exorcists on Travel Channel, which is currently streaming everywhere. So if you haven't checked it out, there's still time. And what else do I want to tell you guys? If there's anything you want to know about my wife and I and our ministry work, go to our website, www.ghost-b-gone.biz. If you go there to visit, there's a lot of cool things to see. Buy a book. Part of the proceeds of every sale of every copy of my books goes to support St. Jude and the ASPCA. So how wonderful is that? My online course is there if you're interested in enrolling in Introduction to Spiritual Warfare. And there's a place where you can make an appointment to speak with me about your spiritual issues. But most importantly, brothers and sisters, keep in mind that my wife and I don't charge for our ministry work, helping people with their paranormal issues. So if you notice the donate button and you're able to do so, click on it and send my ministry in a small donation. I promise you, it'll be appreciated from the bottom of our hearts. And trust me, we'll put it to good use. All right, brothers and sisters, what do I want to tell you about today? Besides the fact we have a great guest, and I know you all already knew that. That's why you tuned in. She's in the green room. She's going to be out here in just a second. But first, I'd like to introduce my awesome co-host. I've known her forever. I love her and respect her. She's super cool. A lifelong paranormal experiencer, the owner of Stellium Books, my publisher. Please welcome to the show, Annette Munich.
Hi, Father Shawn. Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for the lovely introduction. And I don't get a chance because I don't introduce you to tell everybody how wonderful you are.
I
As
can
you always,
hold on one second. I'll
as
take
you
myself
always-
off the screen and I'll let you introduce me. How's that? Ready? Go.
Well, we're so happy to be here. Father Shawn's Paranormal Ministry, starring Father Shawn Whittington, who was on Eli Roth Presents the Legion of Exorcists, and is just a very, very astute and kind and accomplished human being and a good writer. And he has two books, God, Ghosts in the Paranormal Ministry 1 and 2, which you could find on Amazon or get a signed copy from him. And he would be happy to hear from you. Is that enough? Did I put enough butter on it?
That was awesome. And I
You
can't remember
don't
the
get
last
that.
time somebody said I was astute.
Astute. You are astute.
Oh, that's funny. Thank you very much. And I know that's heartfelt too. Anything you want to tell the masses, your fans and followers, before we bring on our awesome guest?
I'm excited about today's guest, and I'm excited that we're about to have our first birthday at
Oh, that's
UPRN,
right. That's right.
August 1st.
Let me let everybody know about that. Yeah. In 2 weeks, Friday, August 1st, which happens to be a first Friday with Father
It
Shawn and Annette
does.
episode.
It
That's our
does.
1 year anniversary with UPRN.
UPRN.
And 2 months after that, in October, on another First Friday episode with you and I, it'll be my 10-year anniversary with this show.
Cool.
So I'll think of a couple of nice things to do for our listeners and our viewers.
Nice.
Maybe next maybe for the 1 year anniversary of being on this network, we'll do that raffle thing again we normally do through the
Yeah,
chat.
and can we have cake? I like cake.
I'll bring some cake. I will maybe give away some blessed medals, and maybe
Beautiful.
um, the 10 year anniversary, I'll give away one of my awesome um, house blessing kits.
Awesome.
We'll see. All
Beautiful.
righty, I'm ready to bring out our guest, and I don't, everybody knows her, loves her. I love her. It feels like I've known her forever, and she's just she's on the extreme short list of truly gifted psychic mediums and
True.
paranormal experiencers that I've met. Um, and like I said, you all know her, you all love her. That's why you tuned in. She is also a very talented artist and a psychic portrait artist. So you got to check out her. I'll make sure before the show's over, everybody knows her website so they can go there and take a look at all her beautiful portraits. And we'll talk about all her upcoming events. She's the kind of person you want to go see in person and meet, and possibly even get a psychic portrait done by her. That would be very cool. So, brothers and sisters, without further ado, please give a big, warm paranormal ministry family welcome to the one and only Angela Boley.
Hi, how you doing?
What are you doing?
I love just being here. You're both such wonderful people. You're great to be around. I always love coming on. Oh, absolutely. And you're very
How do you like that? Nit said I was astute.
yeah. I like that. I think that's true. You are astute.
Okay, I'm going to be honest. I don't really think I know. I'm sure it's good, but
I
I'm not
forgot the part
100%.
about I forgot about how you're a good writer and you're a good cook, and I forgot some things that I could have put in it.
That's okay.
I'll have to save them for next time.
Listen, I know there's probably a few people looking at Angela right now and going, that doesn't look like the jail behind her. So let me make the announcement. Yesterday, I found out that they had to postpone and reschedule the event at the jail because the owner became ill. Um, and so my prayers go out to the owner of the jail. I heard she's a fabulous person. So I know you guys will reschedule that, and we'll make sure everybody knows about that if they want to come out to the event and meet you. But even better than that, I mean, I was kind of, I've done some shows before or tried to do shows like this live from some of these old historic haunted locations, and either they don't have electricity or they do, but the Wi-Fi signal is very weak, or they have terrible cell service there. So I was kind of nervous about that, but now we don't have to worry about that. The best part is we still have you, Angela. So welcome.
Thank you very much. And the old Paulding Jail, I've been there a few times. Every time I've gone, there's been incredible paranormal activity with disembodied voices, shadow people. The last time I was there, people thought they saw somebody or saw me following the other people downstairs, like I was right
Oh,
behind them, and I wasn't. I was actually up on a different floor entirely. We people did see a large shadow figure there. I saw figures there, and there's usually three male spirits that are around me there when I'm on the second floor. Of course, the second floor, uh, the doors are a little different. They have bars on one side and they have solid doors on the other side. So I'm not sure whether this was a more secure part of the prison or not, but this was an all male prison. It goes back to the 1800s. There's only one source of heat in the building, and that's in the bathroom. That's on the first floor with a small little vent, and that's all you get for the prison. And their windows are all covered. If you remove the covering of the windows, it's like you might as well not have windows because air just comes through there so easily. It has quite an very old dug out dirt basement, and that's where they put people of color. They would keep them down there. And there's all sorts of controversy on prior convictions. In that town, there was a young man who was convicted of a murder that he most likely did not commit and just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time, or was convenient to blame. And there was a mob, and long story short, that young man lost his life. I did pick him up there at the prison. We also got on camera, on the security camera. She has security cameras throughout the place. And the very first time I was there was an apparition that appeared on camera of a woman walking through the basement, and also a little boy walking through the basement. And they disappeared out of one wall and into the other wall, and they were gone. Next time I was there, again, we had some more shadow people. We had movement. We had disembodied voices, and the voice it seemed like it was the last sheriff that ran the prison there. And he seems to be very welcoming of me and very friendly. There of those three male prisoners that are upstairs, one of them likes to come right up to my face, and he has a very disconcerting smile with jagged teeth. And he, will say he'll make a comment, and then we'll just recede back and leave. And I guess try to see if I would get scared, and I don't. So he'll just have to keep being disappointed.
Forgive me for not knowing this. I don't know if Ohio and this is Paulding, Ohio. I don't know if Ohio is a capital punishment state, or even back then if they had it. Did they do executions at that jail?
They are not entirely sure. There were hangings. Every town in Ohio had hangings, so they did have executions historically in Ohio. And it's only I think they just removed the death penalty. I think there's one of the few states. Ohio was one of the last states to hold out on leaving the death penalty, and it wasn't that long ago. But back in those days, there were usually hangings, and every town that I've been in, there's usually a history of at least one hanging. There, they did have hangings, but I don't know if they occurred. But they were not sure because of the spotty records whether they occurred in the jail or they were somewhere else. So they were supposed to be somewhere else, but some of them may have been in the jail, and off the record, so to speak.
I'll ask you this because I know you have a psychic hotline, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
a personal psychic hotline to the other side of the veil. Why would you think, and you may even just know this right off the bat, why would you think uh, a spirit would want to remain there if they, let's say, a prisoner had passed away there or was executed there? Why they may want to hang around there after death, and or why do you see some of these other? It's an all men prison. Why you might see some women spirits there, or children spirits. What messages have you received from the other side when it comes to all that?
The boy is from a time before the prison was even built, so I could pick up on a settlement long before that prison was built, an early
Okay.
settlement that was there. And there was even a man I was able to pick up and was able to get his name, Isaiah, who is still there at the prison. He appears as a very large shadow person. That's been the large shadow person that people have been seeing, but he was a farmer before the jail was even built. And I feel like his remains are somewhere nearby, and feel like the woman also just belongs to the land. I don't feel like she belongs to the prison and all, but belongs to a time before the prison was built. I did feel a Native American presence there that was there long before this was built. And one of the prisoners that is there because he feels unresolved, and this was this boy, like 17 years old, who was falsely accused, is still there. He wants help crossing over. The owner wants to still be able to talk to him, so she is not letting that happen right now, or not giving permission for assistance for that. Of course, assistance may come for him eventually because angels come and go and may come get him and get him out of there. And the three males that are upstairs, I feel that they are there because they knew each other, they were friends, they were comfortable there with each other. So because of that, they're there because they have a comfort level with familiarity with that prison. That's where they met as friends. That's where we're staying as friends. And there were also three males that come and visit, but they're from they are black men. There are three black men who became best of friends there while they were locked up there, and they're very funny, and they're very friendly, and they're very kind. These three men, because I think they were just put in prison, for I don't think they were put in prison for any justified reason. But these three men are very friendly, and they're always playful, and got a great sense of humor. And they visit. They don't stay there. They come and visit because they have fond memories of forming a good friendship there. And it's just, the other men upstairs, those guys were definitely career criminals, but they just have a friendship that formed there. So they are staying there. They choose not to leave there.
I find that all fascinating. And I don't know why I find spirits so sad, even if they come and they're very jovial and pleasant, and don't mean any harm, or they don't misbehave and act in a malevolent nature. I just find earthbound spirits just sad. I always really
Yeah.
try my best to convince them. I mean, you can't make them do anything, but I try to
Yeah.
convince them that there's a better place to go, and they're of the ages now, and they don't really belong here. So I do my best. I fail miserably a lot at that, but that's how I feel. And I know that Annette, she has a lot of ties to Ohio, so she may, and she's done some research on that jail. I'll let you two chat a little bit.
Well, thank you. Actually, I was watching a clip from an episode of Portals to Hell, and it was Jack Osborne and Katrina Weidman going through there,
Mhm.
and they interacted a lot with a sheriff.
Yeah, the sheriff's there.
Yeah, and
The last sheriff, Ed.
is he? Have you interacted with them? Do you think that he's
Yes,
mean? Is he?
he is
Uh,
not. I don't know Ed to be mean at all, at least not towards us, and then not certainly not towards me. I've heard Ed talk like he's still there. We've heard all of us. We were in the garage area, and we heard somebody. They're coming up, and when all of us were just leaving, we're going up the stairs into the main area. We heard his voice, and I know it was Ed. And I asked Ed to move a table. I asked him, Ed, if you're happy with me being here and you welcome me here, move the table towards me. And not only did it move towards me, it moves towards me such speed it actually flipped. So he was definitely very. I feel like he feels like he has a responsibility still to that prison, and I feel like he's connected to it that way. For him, it feels like a second home to him, and he's comfortable with everybody there. I don't get a sense of him being mean at all, not in the least. In his lifetime, I didn't know him while he was alive. I just know him in his afterlife. He's not at all mean, but he seems to be a very, a very good presence there, and even a protective presence there. So I feel like he is good to have around and good to interact with.
I have to go a little bit wonky with this, and Father Shawn will know why, because I heard you say something that sounded a lot like doppelgangers. And I have been asking people about doppelgangers. Anybody that has any kind of information about that, any experience with that, Father Shawn has had a little bit, but the kind of, if you have a sense of what that is, what's the explanation behind it, and how funny it feels for it to be, they think they saw you. You didn't see someone and they were actually somewhere else. Somebody actually saw you.
Right. He thought he saw me downstairs when I was actually upstairs. I've run into my own doppelganger face to face once at my.
Oh my gosh.
I got up in the morning, and as soon as I stepped in the hallway to walk towards the bathroom, I literally ran into myself. And this being was had a more of a vicious smile. And it was like it was like a dark version of me. And I've run into different explanation. I think there's a lot of reasons that might account for doppelgangers. The one thing I think is something that can mimic, like a separate entity that might try to mimic another person. And The other one that I come across, which, as somebody suggested to me, and it sounded like to me, it made sense to me, that the subconscious mind is, if you're gifted or if you have abilities, we have the ability to manifest outside of the body. But what it manifests is always your shadow self, the darker side of yourself. You're like your psychic twin, but it's your shadow self, your darker side, your darker aspect that manifests. And I have been to haunted places, and even here where I live in this house, I have seen doppelgangers when there's been paranormal activity. And for the doppelgangers here, I just think it's something environmental or unique to a haunted location. And I don't know how to explain the doppelgangers here. I saw the dog both inside and outside the house at the same time. I saw my mom in the closet and on the sofa at the same time. And when we've had an uptick in paranormal activity, and it could be maybe something quantum entanglement is happening that maybe we just don't understand yet in a haunted environment. Perhaps time is space or light or something is being bent. I don't know, but it doesn't, they didn't seem like it was separate entities, like one pretending to be the dog and one pretending to be my mom. It just seems like it was like a reflection almost.
Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah. It's funny that you mention mimicking, because many malevolent behaving, and everything I run into that behaves malevolent isn't demonic, but there's some of these old um, angry spirits, disembodied human spirits that will act in a malevolent nature, and that's how I know. Usually, it's a red flag to me if there's a doppelganger involved, or a lot of mimicking, like, you hear yourself calling you, or you
Yeah.
hear someone that is close to you that's not there calling you from a different area to come there. um that type of stuff is usually, for me at least, a red flag that there's something genuinely malevolent and possibly demonic in nature involved in that.
Yes.
But I find it, your take on the time being bent and all that, you're absolutely right. I'm the first one to admit to people, I don't know anything. I'm not an expert in anything. I don't have all the answers. I think the three of us will be having this conversation again one day in heaven, and we'll
Yes.
laugh about all the things we'll know then that we don't know now. And I
Right.
think that's what makes it so interesting, and people like us, why we're so passionate about being in the field of paranormal research and
Hmm.
experiencing the supernatural, because it's just so it's amazing. When it's
Hmm.
not downright frightening, it can be very amazing. And what do you think was behind people seeing you at the jail?
That I'm not sure about, but I suspect because I seem to have, part of my ability seem to be, I will often be at more than one place at once, and sometimes out of body, like I'll be taken out of body somewhere, and but sometimes I do it and I'm not conscious of it until later. There was a show recently my friends were on, and they're different, they're in another state, but all of them heard my voice come on in somebody's house behind them say, "I'm working right now." And at the time I was working and I couldn't be on the show because I was working. And I had a friend of mine also do an experiment where, if to see if I could mimic some of the things that people experience at haunted locations. So we didn't tell this other investigator that I was going to try to follow him out of body and kind of like almost like remote viewing, but move my consciousness in his space. And we set up a specific time. I wasn't connected to any cell phones or anything like that. I felt him, I saw him, and I stood right behind him. And they got this on video timestamp. So at the time we started, and this woman that was with him had a detector, an EMF detector, and he kept saying to her, "I just feel like somebody's standing behind me." And I set off the EMF detector right where I was standing, and and I created a cold spot. with my presence. And that was something. And my friend came back and he asked me, can he describe where he was? Was he sitting or standing? And he was standing. And I explained to him there was a woman with him that had this sort of long curly hair. Well, the woman with the EMF detector did have long curly hair in the video, and he showed it to me later. And I was able to, but I had a very narrow view. I could only see like a laptop screen width of vision is what I had, and I just had this really narrow vision, really narrow focus, and I was focusing on him. So it's possible that either there was a spirit that was imitating me, which I suspect was a shadow person, or could have been a psychic projection from me, which who wanting me to be downstairs, and I couldn't be downstairs because I was upstairs getting set up. I strongly suspect it was the shadow person in this case that was trying to mimic me and be present there and trying to make people think I was downstairs and it's upstairs, sort of calling card of this thing. Because one of those entities, one of those males upstairs is definitely a malevolent male. He hasn't done any harm. He's afraid to do anything to me other than the only thing he does, he just comes up to my face and tries to scare me, and then and then I don't even react. So
I have a theory about that. You want to hear it? And again,
sure.
I don't know anything, so this is this is just a theory.
Mhm.
I believe it's your light force that makes a lot of these malevolent entities that you encounter not want to harm you
Right.
because they're stuck here. Now, this is not demonic. This is just a disembodied human spirit that is mad and behaves in a malevolent nature
Yes.
and may have even a time or two pulled somebody's hair or pushed somebody or scratched somebody and appeared to be demonic but wasn't. But I find a lot of people, they're already here because they're afraid of crossing over because of some things they've done in their
Mhm.
life. They're afraid of judgment. Um, and they figure if you've got protection, and if they lash out at you and try and harm you, that on that side, whatever type of justice there is on that side of the veil, that they're going to meet it real quick.
Mm.
And if they were to lash out at
Yeah.
you. And I find that happens a lot to me too. And so I that's a theory of mine that
Yeah.
it's your light force because
Mhm.
you definitely vibrate at a much higher level. Um, and I just believe that you have and you probably already know this, but you have a certain amount of protection
Mhm.
that's just with you
Yes.
when you go and you do what you do.
Mhm. Absolutely.
How does that theory sound?
Yes, that's absolutely true. And I find that now that especially dark entities. I mean, they talk, but they're also but I can also pick up they're extremely terrified of me. They're
Yeah, I go
incredibly
into some of these
terrified.
haunted places that are so active, and I get there and nothing happens. And I'll even have one or two people. Oh, and this is back in the day. I don't really
Mhm.
ghost hunt anymore, but one or two people on the paranormal team that might be present, or even the owner of the location, who is trying to make money off of the haunted location. They're like, well, they probably are not acting up because you're here, and I will say to them that could be very true.
Right.
It is what it is, and some of these people would be surprised how many rules that they play by on the other side that we don't have any clue. But
Right.
I believe there's rules, and it's just if you come in vibrating high and you surround yourself in that you know uh, extreme bright light of love and light, uh, it really is a deterrent. That's what when people are really being tormented at their homes by
Mhm.
spirits, I always try and teach them how to engulf themselves
Yes.
in that light.
Mhm.
And you know what I believe is true, and it's been told to me before, and it resonates with me, is that they very much read your energy. I mean, they're energetic beings in an energetic dimension. And
Yes.
that's why somebody like me that has had a lot of experiences, and it's not attached to me, it's just that when I'm somewhere, they can tell that I'll be likely to be able to see them, hear them, perceive them. They
Hmm.
can see that in your energy. And I feel like the more experiences you have, the more you're likely to have, like they know that.
Yeah.
So if they can pick that up, what else can they pick up?
Yeah.
It might be a whole lot more than that that they can pick up. They could know you're coming a half an hour before you get there. Maybe. You don't know.
For
You
me,
don't,
they know days in advance.
right. You
They'll
don't
let
know.
me know days in advance, and they come visit. And they know I'm coming.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
So
it's
you
like
like,
me. I get like about a week ahead of time. I start getting paranormal activity spiking in the house
Mm-hmm.
here, and depending on exactly what it is, sometimes I'll know exactly by the activity that my phone's about to ring with a really serious case that I need to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Um, and I believe it's whatever is at that location is uh, coming by basically, you know, to put it in simple terms, drawing the line in this their line in the sand and
Right.
letting me know, when you get this, don't come here. We're ready for you. And it's a little bit of I take it as a challenge. Um, and it's interesting how your event got canceled or rescheduled, I should say, because the owner became ill. I can't tell you how many times I get reached out to go work a case, and I'm sick at the time. I may have a cold, or my allergies are acting up, or I
Mhm.
haven't been sleeping well because for whatever reason, my night terrors have kicked in that week, and I'm just exhausted and not feeling up to it. And people will get upset if I'm honest with everybody. Listen, I'm going to wait a week or two before I come out because I just feel like what, and
Mhm.
I'm not up to it. And they get upset. Oh, just because you have a cold, you don't want to come and help me. I don't want to go unless I'm
right,
100% physically and
right,
psychologically and ready to deal with what I may run into. Because if I go there with a weakened immune system, like Annette says, they read your energy. They come right in on that and they attack that, and it
Mm.
can get worse. Um, so, how do you handle that when you're about? Sometimes you plan these events months in advance. It's a big
Yes.
event. Everybody's coming to see Angela Boley. They want to get a personal psychic portrait done or a reading or be there with you when you investigate. What if you're really, really sick? Do you try and fight through it or do you reschedule?
I haven't really been really sick and not had to. I've been down, but not feeling really sick. I go through it, and I do have a lot of supplements that I take, and I just pray and you know that everything will go well. But I've been very blessed to have not been sick and never had to cancel an event due to sickness or ill health or anything like that. I've been very fortunate that way. Um, but if I was feeling a little bit down or a little bit tired, I still go ahead and go, because I can feel that I get strength from spirit when I make that decision, because I have angels around me, and it feels like spirit gets stronger within me when my flesh is weak. And so when I'm there, it's like I'm still, I'm still showing up for this. If I don't care what my health is at this point, if you're going to attack me, you're going to attack me. But I'm going to be right here, and I'm not going to be backing down. And that is off-putting to any negative spirit that's there. They see that as a sign of bravery, so they back off if there's anything negative there. And then I can feel other spirits with me, supporting me and protecting me that much more strongly.
It's interesting. She owns this historic landmark, allegedly extremely haunted.
Hmm.
Uh, old historic location. So she's around spirit a lot,
Yes.
and uh, I just wonder how often she gets ill. And I counter that with a lot of people that say, we've been living with these spirits in our home for a long time. And when I start peeling the layers away and talking to them, I find out everybody in the family's been ill a lot over a long period of time.
Yeah.
And the theory is when you're around spirit a lot, they don't even sometimes know they're doing it, but they're attracted to your light because they're dead, and just them being around you and trying to suck that energy out of the atmosphere and from you, um, that that weakens you. Um, and you can be around spirit a lot and find that you're ill a lot. Do you have a theory on that?
I do think that there are spirits. If there's a negative spirit there, it can wear you down, and then you could get your a weakened immune system as a result. Because I think our energy field or biofield that we emit is another layer of defense. If that's disrupted by something negative or drawing on it, I think it could make you vulnerable to illness because that's just extra stress that you just don't need, and that could definitely drain you. And I do also have come across that where a house or a location has a history of illness in it, like let's say they had a cholera epidemic, there was tuberculosis or something like that in the building, and there's a history of it. And if the person comes in and they're sensitive, they start to get sick or mimic the symptoms of tuberculosis or cholera or something like that, even though they don't actually have it. They're picking up it's almost like imprinted in the environment, and they're picking it up, and now it's being reflected in their body. Their body is picking up on the symptoms and on the energy of that illness that's there, or a spirit that has died from that illness, and now the person is picking up the symptoms of that illness even though they don't actually have the illness.
I think also, um, I think that it works very well to say, Archangel Michael, please surround me with your white light of protection. And I just believe that it does help. I really do. At least it makes me feel a lot less vulnerable.
Yes. And I can feel the change around me, and so I ask the Blessed Mother, just open the gate of heaven and bring down the light of heaven down here, and bring your light and your love and your peace. And you feel the Blessed Mother. I mean, you feel the peace instantly. You just feel her presence. It's just amazing peace that just comes from her loving presence, and no negative entities can be around that. They cannot withstand the Blessed Mother at all.
Well, do you have a date you'd like to throw out for when you're going to be back at the jail?
Sure.
Because there's people out there that have the means to travel, or may even be people near there within a short distance from that area that don't know about the event.
It's
Yes, so October 25th and the 26th, it will be at the Old Paulding Jail again. That is on 112 South William Street, and it is keep in mind, Paulding is a very tiny little town. it,
it's very tiny.
Very
It's
tiny. You have to drive
like
through a wind farm to get to it, but it is a tiny place. On the way there, I do want to mention that on the way there, one of the prisoners that was in the Old Paulding Jail, the spirit one, the person told me which house he grew up in, and it's one of the houses that are on the wind farm that's boarded up. It's a white house
Wow.
that's been boarded up, and that was the house he grew up in. Uh,
wow.
so he has a connection with the area. But the 25th and the 26th of October, I'm supposed to be there. So usually we start around 11 a.m. and then go far into the night, as late as people want to
What can
come.
someone expect if they come to the event to see you?
Okay, so when they come, I'm usually on the second floor. And so when you walk into the prison, you'll see, of course, you come through the double doors, and there's the visitors area, but I am upstairs, so it does have a staircase. You have to go up the staircase. I'm on the second floor, and you'll see a doorway, and there's a little like cubby hole where they used to pass trays through for the prisoners. I'm right on the other side of that. So you would come in, you sit in the doorway, you'll see me set up and everything. Just go into that very first room, And I am actually sitting there in front of the jail cells. There's actually a little, we call it the picnic table, as the seating area for the guards on that floor. And it's a nice setup, but they have like a built-in picnic table there, and I'm right next to that, and they'll have the lights and everything going. And they will come, they sit down, and when they sit down, you mean you don't have to do anything special. You don't have to do anything special, because I'm looking at the spirits that are in your aura, and those spirits are your guides. A lot of times they're family members. Sometimes they are not family members, and people that have lived, that have a that they've learned that lesson that you're trying to learn, and because they've learned that lesson, heaven has assigned them to you to help guide you through the very same lessons. And I will pass on their messages as I'm painting. It's usually about 15 minutes. And then I'll hand that way you have your actual painting of the spirit that is with you, that's your spirit guide. Angels come through sometimes. Sometimes I'm being shown images, and sometimes I'm shown plants, and the person in the midst of being having the same characteristics or lessons that the plant has these special gifts or adaptations for, that heaven is using to teach them. The plants and the animals are being used by God to teach us our life lessons in spirit. And it's an amazing experience. And it's always amazing for me, because I've always learned something new and meet somebody new and experience something new every time when I'm doing a reading. And it's an amazing experience. I had one lady sit for me last time that I did not know she was a veterinarian, but I kept picking up on a cat, and the cat was showing me, he's still around her. He was her cat, and where he'd hang out in the driveway. And I even was able to describe her house and where the cat liked to hang out in the house, and that he would like to go to her work. And I was seeing an office, like, is this a vet office? Because the cat would follow her around, and I would see other animals, and this cat would particularly like the veterinary office bathroom he liked to hang out in. And when I painted, I actually painted a portrait of her cat that had just passed, and she was a veterinarian. And then at the end, she let me know that she was a veterinarian, and that was her cat, and that's all the places he went to. So I pick up on, some that have passed, relatives who passed also, that are still there for you, still protecting, still looking out for their family. And because those bonds just don't die. And then when it's a love bond, they're there to protect you as well, and they can act as your guide.
If if Annette has something else she'd like to ask you about the jail, I'll give her a second to do that.
Sure.
And then after that, I'm gonna throw a curveball at both of you today with this conversation. So, is there anything
Okay.
you want to ask her about the jail before I throw the curveball at you?
I'm actually curious about the property, if she knows if the lady is intending on doing anything specific with it, or
Well,
um,
they're fixing it up as much as they can, because it was abandoned for a while and it was in bad shape. But it is they're doing a bit to keep it maintained, and then fixing it up as much as possible, trying to repair it, do as much restoration work as possible. But as far as any plans to turn the building and anything else, I think she just likes to preserve the property as much as possible, and keep it the way it is, as without any major changes to it, because it was a jail, and so there's that aspect. There's the prisons, there's the way that it's set up, and bars and everything, and a lot of the visitor centers still set up there with the two-way phone and the mirror and everything, and the pay phones on the second floor. And I think she likes to leave it like that, and just make sure to repair as much as possible
right.
anything that needs to be repaired.
Very, very cool.
Hmm?
Well, here's the curveball. I know that you are. I read somewhere, and you and I have probably talked about it before. I
Hmm?
just can't remember that you are a near-death experiencer. I like to call it a death survivor.
Yes.
I get a lot of people that reach out to me that are near-death experiencers or near-death or death survivors, and some of them hold a real uh, survivor's remorse, almost, if you will. Why did they kick me out of heaven? Why couldn't I stay? And I begged to stay, and they sent me back anyhow, saying it wasn't my time. And the odd thing is that I've actually encountered earthbound spirits who, while they were alive, had a near death experience and were sent back. And now that they've died and know they died, they're stuck and don't know why they're stuck.
Mm.
So that's my curveball. And I wondered if you might be able to give any advice to somebody that has survived a near death experience that might be feeling survivor's remorse, and or any spirits that may be watching or listening to the show, and I know that there's some, I can feel them, that may be going through that very exact thing. We help everybody here, the living and the dead.
And so so I would suggest on that is that I would embrace the lessons, and if you feel like you're stuck here, you're really not. You may feel stuck because you feel your emotions or still some part of you is still there or still meant to be there, but it's not necessarily the case. You're always better off crossing over, because on the other side, whatever issue that um, you're going to get help to get that resolved. It's not like you have to be here and you have to resolve everything all yourself. Just let it go. Let it go. It's like God already knew about it ahead of time, knew what you're going to go through, knew what your hangups would be ahead of time, knew when you were going to die, knew when you were going to pass out of body, and knew that you're going to feel stuck. But you just have to trust. Let it go. Trust that they'll come get you. Like, you already know this. Come get me. Come get me. I'm ready. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to leave. Ready for my next lesson. Now I'm done with this one. I might have to finish it up in heaven and in a class somewhere up there, but I'm perfectly willing to go. Just take me as I am. And I always remember the words of Jesus. I mean, come as you are. I mean, that's what Jesus is like. Come as you are. You don't need anything special. Just come as you are. So I truly believe that. I truly believe that you don't have to be stuck, and that if, and mostly because you're stuck, you're worried about something. Just let it go. Let it go, and ask them to come get you.
Well, I'm going to make sure, I'm going to give everybody a couple of seconds to grab a piece of paper and a pen, and I'll also post this
Get some
on
art.
my Facebook page. But it's your website. First of all,
Yeah.
you have a wonderful Facebook page called Angela Boley, Psychic Portrait Artist.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful page. On there, you'll also see Angela's website, but it is the letter A as in apple, super squirrel, a super squirrel, all one word, at gmail.com. And that is your website. And
Well, that's my email address. My website is a little different
that's right.
now.
I'm sorry. Give us the website real quick.
Okay, so let me grab because it is a little bit long, and I will grab that here for you. Just a moment. So it is a Wix site address.
That's
so
right.
That
That's right.
is
I apologize.
So it's a super squirrel. So all spelled out as one word. Wixsite WIXSITE.com/ Angela Boley Portrait A as one word. So it's a little long, but that's my website. And the Facebook page, Angela Boley, Psychic Portrait Artist. Now, the way that, because I've been shadow banned, so you have to go to Google and type in Angela Boley, Psychic Portrait Artist, and click on my Facebook page. That's the only way you can get to it. If you try to search on Facebook, you won't find it there. So you have to actually go to Google and then click on the results. The first result is my Facebook page, and my website is right under that. That's the easiest and quickest way to find my website. And I do have some artwork here if you want me to talk about those.
Yeah, we got a few minutes before I got to kick you out of here.
Sure. So I've got a couple of pieces I want to talk about. So this is a real recent one, and you can see this okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so this is, I was led to paint this. This is a cherub. And this is an angel that has, well, it looks like they have three heads, but you have an eagle, the bull, and the lion, the symbols of power. And I felt led to paint this because I really feel like people need reminded. And of course, I was reminded that to paint this because to remember angelic powers, these are incredibly powerful beings. These are not in any way, you have to keep the images of the little baby with wings and little, beautiful women with beautiful wings. that's really not how angels are described in even biblically. And you'd have these beings that are just absolutely lit with the fire of Christ. They're very fiery looking, and these are symbols of power. These animals, right? The bull, the lion, the eagle, right? These are symbols of power and protection. And we can always call on these angels to help us and protect us. And of course, speaking of my near-death experience, well, my death experience, I painted this, another painting based on that, and just to elicit that feeling because of the dying process where I feel like I was kind of lost at sea. It's that feeling of going up and down, when I'm going in shock. But then I see a light that I can't understand why that is there, and it's in the distance. And then all of a sudden I'm in the light. This is inspired by that. I want to make sure to express this in this painting. And
That's very pretty.
Yeah.
thank you. And another one. So this is a long story behind this one. See the soldier there, German soldier, German uniform, and you see there's an actual camp. This is the front gates of the Natzweiler Stadthof camp. So in my 20s, I started to have dreams that I realized that were memories, but they were this man's memories from around age 5 up to when he, at age 22, he was killed in the Second World War. He was an American. Karl Frank Hoff was his birth name, April 26th, 1922. I was able to find his military record, his partial military record. He was raised by his German grandfather, and soon after he was married, he was sent off to war because he was fluent in German since he spoke German at home. His grandfather did not speak a word of, hardly spoke any English at all. He was sent off to war and was a member of the OSS. And he was a guard at some of these Nazi installations. He befriended a Jewish man who was actually in the SS, and he was secretly working against the death squads. He was assigned to a death squads, and he was actually helping people escape the death squads. And then the SS could never figure why they could never find anybody that they were looking for when he was involved. And yet he was a brilliant man. I can't tell you how much his name was Klaus Ben von Brunner. And the other was his captain named Edward Toussaint, who was the captain of his barracks, who was also Jewish, who helped Frank in that OSS position. And what they did was they liberated camps together, but from the inside. So they'd have the operation on the outside. The Allies would have this planning, and then his OSS contact will let them know if they're good to go or not. And if they were, Klaus would come close to Frank, since Frank was a guard and Klaus was SS and would have been in the group to run the camp. He would pass very close by and just barely brush his shoulder. And if they were good to go that day, he would say bis später, which is German for see you later. If they weren't, he would say guten Morgen. Klaus's job, when this liberation of the camp would start, he would pull out a pistol and shoot the officers that were in the camp that were the SS officers in the office. He would get them there and shoot them. And then Frank's job was to go out and shoot any SS that were sent ahead of the liberation to shoot as many prisoners as possible. So he would shoot the SS that were coming. And because he was in a German uniform, they were thrown off a little bit. But by this fourth camp that they liberated, the Germans figured out who was involved in the operation, figured out who Frank was. And so after Klaus had shot the officers, when Frank went out to shoot the SS that were sent in, the SS were already waiting for him and shot him in the belly. And I experienced pain for years, his physical pain from being gunshot in those areas. And doctors could not explain why I was experiencing pain, but I would wake up speaking German, and I couldn't understand that. Wow. Because I was given his memories, and I feel like there is a peace there. I did pray for him. I had mass said for him. One time I was in church, and I lit a candle from him, and I said a prayer. I prayed that Frank gets everything that he asked for, that he needs to be at peace. And I heard a voice say, "Let it be," and I heard a thunderclap, and I was the only one that heard it. Wow. It was from heaven. So. And I feel like Frank has found peace. but I still am. He's still having me promise to go to Germany for him. Because I don't believe his remains were ever sent home, but I do want to be there at the place where he died. The camp is still there; they still have it preserved, and the exact place where he was killed. So I do want to make that trip to Germany for him.
Wow.
Well, as usual, and I knew you were going to rock today. You rocked it. This was a great interview. I love you. I respect you. I'll have you back. Please have a wonderful, wonderful remainder to your Friday and your whole weekend.
Thank
And
you.
if I was there, I'd give you a big hug. Thank you for everything you do. And I'll see you soon, okay?
I'll see you soon. Thank you so much for having me on. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks, Angela. It was great.
See you
Thank you.
later. I'm still got my fingers crossed that you two will somehow get together and be able to pull off her book because I
And
know
you
that's
know
going
that
to be,
story that she was just telling, that would be a wonderful story.
yeah,
It's not that we can't do a book, it's the cost of printing color
yeah.
for the art. That's the problem. It's not that we can't do it. And who wants to see artwork in black and white? It just
Yeah.
loses a lot. So then doing it in color makes it astronomical in cost. That's a problem.
Well, I will see you next Friday, July 25th, for our Happy Medium Monthly with Susan Ahern. So,
Yay.
woman, I love you. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next week.
Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you to all of our listeners. Have a great night and a great weekend as well.
See you
Thank you
later.
so much.
Annette Munich, owner of Stellium Books. That was a great show. I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in because honestly, I know I don't have a show without you guys. So God bless you for that. Thank you to United Public Radio Network for picking up my show, Joe Montaldo, Michelle DeRoche for making that happen. God bless you both for doing that. And what else do I want to say? Got God? Well, if you want to join a church that accepts everybody, and I mean that everyone, take a look at the United States Old Catholic Church. You might be pleasantly surprised. Um, Remember, brothers and sisters, we may have done what the devil said we did, but we are not who the devil says we are. Good night, Danny. Good night, Jack. Good night, Dog. Good night, Harold. Rest in peace. Good night, Ernie. Good night, Bill. Good night, Dan. Stay tuned for Spirit Switchboard with Carrie Lynn Shellhorn. I love you all. God bless you all in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Peace. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody.